Now, let's just talk about our favourite moments, our favourite three moments.
Three big takeaways.
So you don't have to watch the whole 90 minutes if you don't want to.
The moderators sucked.
Oh, okay.
They really sucked. I'm sorry, I took away your big emotional moment, but they really, really sucked.
They did. And it wasn't just the fact that they sucked. They sucked boldly and proudly, and it was in your face. Just a little subtlety with your bias, please.
Yeah.
Just pull it back a little bit. It was too much. They were participants, not moderators. And so many examples, including those impromptu fact checks that all went in the one direction, whilst they ignored the blatant, verifiable lies from Kamala Harris, including the Charlottesville lie, the bloodbath lie, and there were others.
And they never pushed her properly on, you said this, you believe that. It was one question, let her word salad, change the subject quickly, move on. Number two take. What was your favourite Trump moment?
Can I say my favourite Trump moment? I know it's silly, but I'm talking. I'm talking.
You liked that he...
You remember? Like, it just took me back to that Pence debate, and just that was the real Kamala. That was the real annoying, incoherent Kamala.
My favourite Trump moment was when he basically inferred that she's stolen so many of ideas he's going to send her a MAGA hat.
That sounds good.
And number three...
I've got to say, we've got to give her some praise here because she has obviously worked hard. Everything was so rehearsed. Every word you heard, she would have uttered possibly 100 times. So we didn't see the real Kamala, but we saw a better version. And even the reaction, when Trump was talking, the way she looked at him, the reactions. Now, some people might say that was jarring. It was passive-aggressive. It wasn't likeable. I think it can be very effective, again, when you're cutting up 10, 15 seconds
throwing
for the 90
shade.
years. Yes.
As the young people
So
would say.
I think you've got to give her props because she's not known for being a hard worker. One of the biggest criticisms of her is that she doesn't know any topic. She just sort of knows the surface level, and that's why she waffles incoherently. But it looked like she had been drilled and drilled hard.
Yeah, well, drill, baby, drill.
Yes.
G'day, I'm Paul Murray. This is the beautiful and wonderful Persian princess known as Rita Panahi. We are in my man cave to watch the Harris-Trump debate. Now, I don't think it can go better than last time.
That was an impactful little thing, wasn't it? Yes. And I think today it's going to be very similar vibes. The pressure is on her. We all know what Donald Trump is. I don't think he's going to delight or disappoint people too much. We already have our formed opinions on him. She's the one who has to prove herself.
This is it. How much word salad is she going to serve up? How many times will she say change and future and dreams and together? Because she's trying to make herself that candidate. But the New York Times poll showed like 60% of people say wrong track and 55% of people say that Trump is the change candidate. So let's watch the debate.
Woo.
The ABC News presidential debate. Here now, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
Come on.
Good evening, I'm David Muir, and thank you for joining us for tonight's ABC News presidential debate.
By the way, David Muir is sort of their 6 p.m. news guy. The other lady, she was one of those reporters who Trump was questioned by with the Black Journalists Conference or something.
Yes.
She is DEI, DEI, DEI. She even writes children's books about DEI. He goes out slow. She's going over to...
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris, he knows who you
Thank
are.
you.
Oh,
Welcome
look at
to you
him.
both. It's wonderful to have
Well,
you.
so he immediately looks alpha. Great.
Good evening. We are looking forward to
I think it's good that he did not invade her portion of the stage. I think he was very deliberate about that because he would have been attacked for it.
Look how frightened she
That
is.
is the economy and the cost of living in this
Her
country.
hair's on point,
Vice
though.
President Harris,
Great
you
hair,
and
Kamala.
President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage
Let's find
here
some
tonight
positives for the
often
girl. Come on.
asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid, and I am actually
hell's that
the
got to
only
do with the
person on
question?
the stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class.
This
and
is the
working people.
whatever happens answer.
I'm going to go with
Yeah.
this. She's obviously been rote learning
Of the American people.
a lot of
And that is
script
why
because they
I
cannot
imagine
afford
and
for
have
her
actually a plan
to not be saying precisely what others have written for her. When she goes into her own head, that's where the problems begin.
But also, if the fundamental question is, are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
That's a yes or no question to begin with.
Correct, right? So she's going to, okay, I get why she wants to talk about tomorrow, but she's part of the team that has co-piloted the plane into the mountain. And look at Trump going, here we go, I'm ready to crack in here.
My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give...
Did you just hear that when she just said, I was raised by my family and then we had another woman who was a small business owner? That's just a nanny. Okay, let's not pretend it's a small business owner. That's like saying that the 14-year-old who comes around to take care of your kid is a small business owner, please. She, by the way, has never owned a business and never employed a single human, ever. Look at Trump, he's ready to go. Oh, the Trump sales tax now.
We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been
it's going to be
yeah, shaking the head.
So rather than say he's a liar, she's just going to shake and see this. Oh, this is all weird. Everything he's saying is so strange.
Oh, I'm bemused now. She's bemused.
Oh, he's into immigration already.
Jobs that are occupied right now by...
Oh, now she's going for the Nancy Pelosi sort of disdainful, ripping up the speech. But that smugness does not translate
People don't like
well.
it.
The fans love it. The people you're trying to convince don't like it.
They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently.
Let her defend that. Let her say, no, that's all fake. This is fake news. This is lies, disinformation. Let her defend the flood of illegal immigrants that have come into the country through that southern border over the last 3.5 years.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression.
COVID.
Oh, it could be because your governors closed down businesses because Fauci told them to. I mean, do they think we've forgotten that?
Yeah, please.
Do we have selective amnesia here?
No one thinks Trump brought it over in Air Force One, all right?
Clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we
Clean
have
up
done
Donald Trump's mess.
Please.
The best performing economy we've seen since Reagan, perhaps better in some aspects.
You're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies.
Oh, here we go. Everything you hear is lies.
What you're going to hear tonight
Don't believe your lying
is a
eyes.
detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025.
Drink! If you've got drinking games, Project 2025 should be one of the tags.
But also, Project 2025 is such a super lefty, super Twitter, super MSNBC thing, right? Which, of course, was a think tank of people who used to work in the Trump administration with their ideas of what.
But
then he said, I'm not in it. Nothing to do with me.
Nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together.
I'm sick of this already.
Oh, she's doing the sort of motherly, mummula. No.
Substantially, and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic, and the pandemic was not since 1917. Where
Say China. Say China.
China.
He doesn't do China anymore, does he?
I really miss the way he says China. Sometimes I just think about that. Just miss the way he says China. Is that strange?
No, it's just lovely that the way that you thought about it.
I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economist in our country...
Equity is what she's offering, which is communism, Kamala. We know what equity means.
That's it. Everyone, unlike equality, ends up in the same place.
That's it. It means equality of outcome, not equality of opportunity.
Mine would strengthen the economy.
And it always ends in tears.
What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan...
She keeps quoting these economists and academics as if there's any faith or trust in that expert class that is highly politicised, highly ideological, that have said anything. Remember the last debate, well, not the last one, the 2021, when we had the national security experts telling us that Hunter's laptop was a Russian plot. People aren't buying this anymore, folks. I can't hear
went to
him.
the Wharton School of
Oh, they had his microphone
They had
turned
his
off.
mic down.
Oh, no.
That plan
Outrage.
is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's
It's the
gonna
best plan.
bring
It's the
up
best plan. It's amazing. It's magnificent.
value as a country.
We
It's
love
gonna
this
make
man.
people
How
wanna
red
be
is this
able to go
tie?
and work.
Oh.
I'd like you to start wearing
Jobs,
ties
create
like
a lot
that,
of
please.
Okay, for you,
good,
anything.
solid
The vice president brought up your tariffs. You responded, and let's drill down on this because your plan is what she calls is essentially a national sales tax. Your proposal
Democrat Dave is doing his best to try to be unbiased. So far, so good. We'll give him a pass because I know it's killing him.
Yeah.
He wants to go up there and join Kamala, just bash Trump.
We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation.
One of the problems she has with this strategy, which is always looking with disdain, disapproval, almost emotive response to everything he says, she needs to keep that up for every time he's talking because she doesn't know what 30-second, 15-second grab they're going to use on the nightly news. And for the person who actually watches this entire debate or even watches 30 minutes, 40 minutes of it, that gets grating real quick. That gets disrespectful and stupid, especially when someone's saying something fairly straightforward and you're just like, you're
But also
thinking,
it's-
what's wrong with you?
Well, it's
Why
that-
are you doing this?
But that super passive-aggressive way of not actually
Passive-aggressive.
arguing with you, but just dismissing you. And again, I know that Team Blue, Team Left wants her to put him away. 30% of people want to learn more about her. What they learn through that
That's it.
is
This
some of the
key.
character, some of the what she must be like behind the scenes.
Focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick.
Watch this. Watch this. This is the bias bit. Do they let him follow up or will they cut him
He's
off?
staying, despite some of the nonsense she's bleating, he's staying fairly passive. Not passive-aggressive like her.
Thank you, President Xi, exclamation point, when we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
Oh, so she's going to blame China for COVID. When Trump was doing that, they called him racist. They had campaigns, Stop Asian Hate.
100%.
Are you kidding me?
But see, look at this now.
She's
Look
going
at
to wear a MAGA hat
Yeah.
next.
This is not good. She's been over-advised.
years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever get elected, she'll change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist
That's true.
professor.
Yes, get in there. Rip in.
taught
Rip
her
in.
well.
Her husband
When you
knocked
look
up
at
the
what she's done
babysitter.
to
Let's
our
just get into
country,
all of
and
it.
when you look at these millions and
Look at him.
millions of
Look
people
at this
that are pouring into our
practice
country
nonsense.
monthly,
That-
where it's, I
I'm
believe,
sorry.
21 million people.
I'm
not
going
the
to do this
15
with
that
you when you
people say.
talk. I'm going to Kamala you.
That's all right. I'll give you a MAGA hat.
Pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals.
She's gone full
Many of these
MAGA.
people
She
coming in are
just
criminals.
took
And
the
that's
China
bad for our
thing
economy,
and
too. You know, you mentioned before
appropriated
about
his
immigration later.
position
Well, bad immigration
But
is
the
way
that
genius-
she had completely condemned.
Understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban.
He will sign a
Understand,
national
in his
abortion ban.
Project 2025, there will be a national
He already said he
monitor
won't do
will
that,
be
so-
monitoring your
She was doing
pregnancies,
really
your
well
miscarriages.
for
Until she
her
went with the
people, and now she's gone too far.
Yeah, but
Because he's not going to sign an abortion ban.
I reckon there's a lot of
particularly the
crossover
freedom to
between
make
the
decisions
Project
about one's
2025
own body
cultists and the abortion enthusiasts who see abortion as the number one issue, if not the only issue.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D. And I
Again,
don't mind.
the moderator is asking,
Well, but
and
also-
stepping in
but
as almost an assistant attorney or something. What is going on?
But also, this is the third time they've asked about a national abortion ban. He said no once, he said no twice. They are trying to get a soundbite for her.
Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatment.
Oh, this is
Come on.
another lie. This is another
He says he
lie.
wants free IVF.
He wants more IVF because he wants more babies.
I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing,
That's going to become a line. I've been a leader in fertilisation.
Ask many women.
okay,
I've been the best. That's quite a good line for sort of a Tinder profile. Leader in...
I'm a leader in fertilisation. Just ask me.
In the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th month,
not true.
and probably
Yes, there
after birth.
Oh, hang on. I thought the mics were cut.
Former governor of Virginia.
Why can we hear her just
Yeah,
then?
why can she interject, but he starts off answers and we can't even hear him?
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security.
Oh,
we
thank
know it's an issue that's
Christ.
important to
I've
Republicans.
got to say, Democrat Dave has equipped himself well thus far,
Behaving.
compared with the unhinged one on the panel.
Who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations.
For murder, not for crossing the border.
Yeah, you were at AG. What do you? Oh, for God's sake!
That the United States Congress, including some of the most
She
conservative...
said she doesn't think illegal immigration
Is a crime.
is a crime.
Crossing is not a crime.
She has defended people who pay people smugglers to bring them across the border. She's offered free healthcare for them.
That bill would have also had 2,500 people a day being allowed to come in, up to 5,000 a day. So put it all together, that still would have ended up as an awful lot of people coming through illegally.
And that bill had a lot of other trash
That bill
in it.
would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations.
No, come on.
trafficking.
No. The people crossing the border. She's focusing not on the people crossing, but the people trafficking them. No.
Which they've put into business. They've given them a thriving business model.
The people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't.
Oh, I can't stand that.
In the history of politics, that's because people want to take their country back. Our country is
Like,
being...
But also, you know what his answer should be? You want to talk about rallies? I got shot at one of my rallies.
That's it. Don't fall, because she just goaded him and he fell for it.
Yeah.
Don't play by her rules.
100%.
That was a miss.
There have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured.
Again,
Oh, whoa.
the moderators are now doing fact checks. What about fact checking the nonsense we heard from Kamala?
The endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a big win.
Yeah.
That's
Let's,
a big
let's
win.
dunk the Iraq War, people. Fair dinkum.
See, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so
Yes.
graciously. They did bad things. Or...
Exactly. These are people he fired and he hated. This is the reason why he entered politics, because of the Dick Cheneys of the world.
He beat the Bush
and he
machine.
beat them.
He beat the Romney machine.
Were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top...
Exactly.
Here, accountability.
Let's get back to that botched Afghanistan withdrawal.
Anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job...
Yes, Kamala,
I
that
fire
is
him.
what happened.
And you take a guy like Esper.
She was the
no
last
good, I
one in the
fired him,
room.
so
She
he
told
writes a
us.
book. Another one writes a book, because with me they can write books. With nobody else can they. But they have done such a...
No one's buying those books about Kamala.
Anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists.
She's
They have the
becoming a
same
little
people.
bit less emotive in her reaction, and I think that's a good thing for her.
I think that she thinks she's in a
Any
groove.
Republican...
National security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next
So this
big
is what she's
court
rehearsed.
appearance is
To
in
the
November
word.
at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear.
Don't even
Where
respond.
each person stands
No, he
on the
should.
issue
He should have
of what is
anticipate
important
this and
about
have a
respect
response.
for the rule of law and respect for law
This is her
enforcement.
pushing him.
The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this
She
race.
raised
It is
bail money for BLM rioters. She let out
Oh, here we
thugs
go.
who went on to kill people.
and address
He needs to point that
the
out.
needs of the
Come on, this
American people.
is very
Address
important, his
what we need
response.
to do about have a plan
This is
for
the
it.
bit
Address
she
what we
has
do to
Again, so she's now just all down the
scripted
camera.
to the word. A word. This would have been
Bringing down the
rehearsed.
price of groceries.
are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
You're
Vice
in
President
charge,
Harris, thank you.
Kamala.
Excuse me.
They're
Every one of
exhausted.
those cases was started by them against their political opponent.
Exactly.
We got to
This is the
continue
one
here.
that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They
Yes.
talk about
Yes.
democracy. I'm a
Good.
threat to democracy.
Good.
They're the threat to democracy with a
President
fake
Trump,
Russia investigation
We do have a lot
that
to get,
went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to.
So
Lindsay?
again, they're interrupting him whilst he's making a point, responding. They have said nothing to correct. This is this is making CNN debate look like it was even-handed.
We have had the largest increase
Again, every time she adopts a Trump position,
because of an approach that
she is endorsing his presidency or his campaign.
100%. Well, that's why he's giving her a MAGA
grew
hat.
up a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother who worked and saved.
Again, the middle-class kid. She was from an affluent background. There's nothing wrong with that. Both parents were successful professionals earning decent money. She lived in beautiful suburbs. Be proud of it. She's still claiming she worked at McDonald's.
Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute, I'm talking now.
I'm
You don't mind,
talking.
please.
It took her line. I'm
Does that sound
talking.
familiar?
Yeah!
And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy, and the role of a president in a moment of crisis. Mr. President,
Democrat Dave is just,
This is all the narrative of Trump, Trump.
yeah, this is, they're not even pretending.
under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it
Democrat
unfold on
Dave tried to
television.
hold himself back, but it hasn't worked. He's back to his, you know what, you always revert back to time.
And but also, here we go, January.
Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
Well, yeah, he told people to protest peacefully.
Let's remember Charlottesville,
Oh,
where
Charlottesville.
there was a mob of people carrying
So she's going to now repeat the Biden lies.
Hate.
Again, this is
And what did
such
the
a
president then at the
dangerous,
time say?
verifiable
people
lie, because it's all on
this-
video.
Let's remember.
Will the moderators fact check her on this lie? Because even the left-leaning Snopes site has said this is a lie, because it's all on video.
Oh, come on.
Go down to Washington, D.C., and let her sign a bill to close up the border, because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills.
That's
They
it.
have the
They're
right
in
to do it.
power.
The
Correct.
President of the
She
United
can
States,
do
you
it
get him
right
out of
now.
bed, you wake him up
You
at 4
wake him
o'clock
up.
in the afternoon, and you say, come on,
Wake him
come on
up.
down to the office, let's sign a bill. If he
Good
signs a
stuff.
bill that the border is
Oh,
closed, all he
he's
has to do
finishing
is say it to
strong.
So he still believes he did not lose the election that was won. by
Again,
This is enough. These moderators.
These moderators have destroyed any chance of us actually getting a proper debate.
She has absolutely lied in this thing, but hasn't been pulled up. When they think Trump has, they pull him up, they give her a chance to respond. They have literally spent as much time on January 6th and the 2020 election as they have the economy or immigration.
Crime.
This debate is totally from the perspective of the media bubble, not the voter. And
The Democrat playbook. It's not only the way the questions are framed, it's not only the questions they're emphasising, it's not just the fact-checking that's happening, fact-checking in one direction whilst they ignore blatant lies from the other side. This entire catastrophe of a debate is such a wasted opportunity, because we know Trump has pushed for 3 debates. The Harris camp are unlikely to accept another one. This was it. This was our chance of these two up against each other, and these biased moderators have destroyed any chance of us getting a fair dinkum contest of ideas. I mean, really.
Yeah.
He said, because you need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like
this
to
is
use
it.
the word
Oh,
afraid,
the,
but I'm
the
just
world
quoting
is
him.
all laughing at
China
Donald
was
Trump.
afraid
No,
of him.
the world
North
was
Korea was
afraid of Donald Trump, which is why nothing happened in the Middle East. Nothing happened.
Russia didn't
in
go into
Russia.
Ukraine. Iran wasn't funding October 7. We didn't have China ramping up aggression in the
100%.
region.
This is much stronger for him than she thinks.
He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what?
But Putin believed him enough not to do it.
Biden hates her. How good's that?
Well, of course he does.
Which is, it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy.
It's very
come
well
on.
known. It's
Weak
very
and
well
wrong.
known.
Come on,
People
stick.
say it.
Please.
Dictator on day
Please. So hang on. So how can you both be weak and a dictator?
Yeah, that's it.
Pick a lane.
Pick a lane,
Pick a lane.
exactly.
Can do whatever the hell he wants.
And I guess it was just the luckiest president ever that he didn't start any wars despite being completely wrong and dangerous. It's well known. That's a new line. It's well known. I'm going to start all arguments with that.
It's well known, Rita.
It's well known.
It's well known that
You've been eating my snacks that I've been hiding in my desk. It's well known.
It's well known.
Here again, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
Round two.
That we must defend Ukraine from Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty.
Are we going to talk about Afghanistan at all?
Oh.
The botched withdrawal, which led to so much of the madness we're seeing around the world, including in that region?
You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight.
Would Russia, I mean, this is again an opinion that's very widely held and debated. Would Russia have acted the way it did if not for America's weakness, as displayed with that botched withdrawal from Afghanistan?
There's the footage of that plane flying off with the people falling off it, the $13
Billions worth of arms left behind for terrorists.
Well, and of which he clearly says, yes, I had a plan to get out, but we were going to take the gear. If we couldn't take the gear, we'd blow up the gear, and we were going to blow up the airbase, which China's now got.
Getting out of Afghanistan isn't the issue. It's the manner in which they did it, which is where the mayhem began.
We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
they
here,
threw him out of a campaign.
Oh, he's going to do another fact check, Democrat Day.
Is he a president? But we have a president.
We
that
literally
doesn't know
had
he's
Trump
alive.
having to fact check his fact check about crime rates, and Trump was right because Democrat Dave shut up after that.
Yeah,
so which tells you
when he gets pushed back, I mean, this is the guy who's, what do they say, a mile wide, inch deep. He doesn't know the detail. He's reading the card.
He's reading the DNC talking points he's been handed.
I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded.
Oh, well, that worked well.
Yeah.
That worked well. That was a show of strength.
Yeah. So when they send it to fix the border, it breaks. When they send it to start a war, to stop a war, it starts.
Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies.
Yeah, because they don't want to pay their own way, Kamala.
Because he said,
makes them
pay your
for that
share.
protection.
Greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO. And what we
Which
have
shouldn't
done,
be bankrupting America. The rich
100%.
European nations should be paying their share, which they did under him. He's the first one who said, you want the benefits, contribute.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting in Moscow.
Not
talking.
good. Don't do quiet, please.
No, I liked it.
Oh.
No. She needs...
Okay.
No.
Maybe
I'm
it's
sorry.
my inner lady that doesn't want to be
No,
told.
I'm sorry.
Quiet, please.
No, I'm sorry. She just ranted for a couple of minutes. He's responding and she's shouting. So, no, quiet, please is a very polite way of saying, shut.
I always love when she's stronger than me.
Just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war.
Yes,
She just said that.
Good.
She just said that herself.
Stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with
And she
Zelensky
botched
and
it.
Putin.
Just like
And
they
she
botched
did.
the Afghanistan
And the war
withdrawal.
started
She
3 days
botched
later.
that
And that's
so
the kind of
badly
talent
that 3
we
days
have.
later, by her own account,
Yeah. Oh, but
Ukraine was invaded.
no, we're going to fact check that, Mr. Former President.
Yeah.
She's actually wasn't.
No, it wasn't 3 days. It was 2.5 days.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
yet again, I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow.
Wow, what an assist!
I know.
That is
hilarious.
Oh, come
Zelensky, I've
on!
now met with him over 5 times.
They're like human booster
Reality is,
seats.
it has been about standing as America always should.
He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up.
Do you think it's interesting that she is clearly pissing him off? Do you think that that makes him look bad, or it's an example of just her playing unfair?
Look, sounds like I'm going to be on the fence with this, but there is something to be said for the quintessential fiery Trump. The reason why Trump has been so impactful isn't because he's your diplomatic politician. It's because he's Trump. He says mean things. He says things other politicians wouldn't. But you also think there is something to be gained by him just being measured and not allowing her to continuously goad him or not. He needs to attack the moderators. That's what he hasn't done. He needs to do that. He needs to put on the record that
I've stood here for an hour. I've watched what you've done. You've given her,
you didn't correct this.
Yeah.
You didn't correct that. You attempted to correct this.
The president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place of storied significance.
Oh, hang on. Listen, hang on. No. I'm not, this is outrageous what she's doing here. Now, yes, the idea that, he invited the Taliban to Camp David. The Taliban was the government before, ended up being the government after. Yes, that means at one point the enemy, but peace talks between the person that you're fighting a war with can happen. That's a very low blow from me.
I would much rather have the Taliban in Camp David being told, if you kill a single American, we will blow up your house and show them a picture of the house so they know
100%.
precisely where it is, than leaving the Taliban billions of dollars of weaponry and abandoning your citizens, abandoning your allies, people who provided assistance to America for years.
Come on, son. Get in there.
I got involved, and Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban.
God bless Abdul. Not God bless Abdul.
Yeah, we've all got that one friend. Mine's called Abdul. He happens to run the Taliban.
Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo.
This is the thing. This is what works. If you want to deal, you can't just have this fairy world where you hope there's no bad people, there's no despots, there's no dictators, there's no extremists, there's no Islamists. They exist.
They didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move on.
And these people...
Now we want to move on. Let's move on.
Moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine. Because they saw how incompetent she
They saw the
and her
botched
boss are.
Afghanistan withdrawal. Absolutely.
Look at this. Look at her. Oh, you're unbelievable.
Mr. President,
McMaster said that just last week. That's why Russia invaded Ukraine.
Oh, here we go. Now it's about her. Okay, this
now
is...
she wants to be known as black. I want to ask a bigger
just
picture
a beat-up
question
session on him.
I mean, honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people.
Oh, please. The race baiters and the Democrats, please.
As opposed to, if you ain't black, you're not voting for me.
Well, never mind that. This is a woman who encouraged the BLM riots, said they should keep rioting, that they were going to keep rioting.
How Donald Trump started. He was land, he owned land, he owned buildings.
I think she's run out of her prepared lines. Yeah. We're about to go into word salad territory.
He refused to rent property to black families.
Oh,
it shouldn't be rent. Oh, Jesus.
Who took out a full-page ad in the
But
New York
what we're not
Times.
hearing from, so we've had every question from the Democrat perspective. Have we had a single question about Kamala Harris? You have said Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. You have said he is...
Do you stand by calling him a Nazi, etc., etc.?
You've said he's a white supremacist, he's this, he's that. He was almost assassinated. He came within a few millimetres of being shot in the head. He was shot in the ear. Do you retract those comments? Do you regret that sort of dangerous
ramping up
rhetoric
the temperature 100%.
that led to an assassination attempt that killed an innocent man? But no. Do we have that? Has there been a word about Corey, the firefighter who was murdered at that rally?
Clearly, I am not Joe Biden. And I am certainly
but
not
you are
Donald
his
Trump.
vice president, and you were the last person in the room, and you literally have cut and paste things onto your policy page, and you've said that you're going to implement most, if not all, of his things like tax policy. You can't have it both ways, where you turn around and say, OK, we all know physically, mentally, she is a different human being, but she is the co-pilot of the plane. And her plan is to keep flying in the same direction, which 60% of people say is the wrong direction.
And let's not forget, she was the woman who, up until 5 minutes ago, absolutely denied there was any cognitive decline with Biden, said he was mentally fit, sharp, hard worker, all the lies. Where are the questions about that? Kamala Harris, you claim this, you claim this about Biden.
Yeah.
Do you now acknowledge that you misled the American people about the president's mental state? No.
Correct.
No questions at all that are from a Republican perspective or a critical perspective. Everything is from a Democrat talking point. I mean, really, you might as just have AOC sitting there and, I don't know, it's Chuck Schumer asking the questions.
Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away, so stop with the continuous lying
You
about
said
this
mandatory gun buyback.
As it relates to the Affordable Care Act, understand...
Now she's a gun owner. I'm telling you, she's going to be showing up on a pickup truck with a MAGA hat soon. I mean, she is just completely abandoning.
I'm a gun
This is what Bernie Sanders was talking about. She's just saying whatever needs to be said to try to appeal to that middle ground.
Yeah.
And then once she's in power, the real Kamala emerges.
100%.
He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also
Because of a pandemic.
Because your governors closed down factories. Again, where is the fact check from the moderators on that? Where is it? Well, actually, there was this stay-at-home orders. There were factory
meteor
closures.
hitting the world, but they're making it seem like he was doing all right and then he just flipped the table.
And let's not forget, the Democrats all said Trump was reckless in not going far enough as far as closing down the economy because he wanted things to get back to normal way quicker than some of the medical experts were recommending.
Here again, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
Who are biased.
Welcome back tonight. The time has come for closing statements, and Vice President Harris.
I would like to see these two retire at the end of this in disgrace. But they'll be very proud of their work.
Visions for our country.
No, you
One
haven't.
that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past, and an attempt to take us backward.
Come on.
But we're not going back. And I do believe
That's the line
that
from
the
the
American people know
DNC. We're
we
not
all
going
have so much
back.
more
Because that just really produced that big poll
and we can
surge,
chart
didn't it?
A new way forward. And a vision
A new
of
way
that
forward. What?
includes
Different
having
from
a
the 12 of the
plan,
last 16 years when you've been in
understanding the
power?
aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition. of
Dreams,
the American
ambitions,
people.
hopes, they're all the same thing pretty much.
Correct, but we're
good,
just
good,
shoving
just
positive.
Just adjectives together.
Bring down the cost of living. It went up under you.
Up. It exploded. I don't think Australians realise, because our cost of living has gone up.
It was 9%. Inflation is real. Every time I go to Vegas, I lose more each time.
That's
each
not
and
the
every
same
time.
thing. I tell you, inflation, I think there needs to be a bloody inquiry into how they set that rate, the basket of goods they use, because...
I intend to be a president for all Americans.
Except the ones who don't vote for you, who you think are racist, sexist,
the ones
men,
who
Christians.
actually pine for a better time.
She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about.
Fantastic.
Why
This is the best bit of his. This is his best bit.
And maybe toughest of all is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
Boom. Mic drop.
She was the most unpopular vice president in history.
These two, bye, go away, enough.
I want to forget your names again. Who are they? I forgot. I don't want to know. They are absolutely a disgrace to their profession, a disgrace to... it's fine to be commentators. What we're doing here right now is commentating, sharing opinions. But when you've got a role as a moderator, it is absolutely essential that you behave fairly, that you are unbiased, that you treat both candidates the same. That is not what's happened. Not even close. They didn't even pretend, Paul. Not even pretending.
Look, this debate was all about Trump's the problem, Harris is the solution, and they gave her an opportunity to basically make that point over and over again.
Every question was from that perspective.
Every lie that she says, they don't pick up. So frustrating. Well, thank goodness that is over, and not because I think Trump did a bad job, but the moderation was appalling, right? The hosts were awful.
Awful. It was the story of the day, really. You didn't think so. I thought it was either going to be an emphatic Kamala or Trump victory, but it seems like the manner in which the debate was held has become the story in a large way.
Yeah, look, it feels to me that, look, the media's going to turn around and say he took the bait, he was too angry, he fell for her, 4D chess trap. I think normal people watching this, all right, we know where the hardcores are, right? If you're Super MAGA, you got enough hits in. If you're somebody who thinks that he's the devil, you saw, him being held to account. If you're somebody sitting going, who do I want to hang out with for the next 4 years? You saw, I don't think that Harris actually passed the likability test. I don't think that she passed the leader test. She didn't look like a president. She looked like an excellent debater against Donald Trump. But whether that transfers into, do I think you can run the world for the next 4 years? Whereas Trump, yes, you might find him too cranky sometimes. However, pretty strong, pretty obviously can walk into any room in the world where we know she takes a week of prep to be able to walk into any room, a TV studio.
It's been about a month of prep into that. It wasn't a week. I think she very successfully hid a great deal of her personality. If you've watched her debates previously when she was debating other Democrats, just very unlikable, jarring, shrill at times, but often just annoying, an annoying quality. And I didn't see that as much tonight. It seems like she stripped that back. There was that passive aggressiveness, the looking over, the very deliberate, disdainful look that was, again, rehearsed. Everything you saw tonight from her was rehearsed. But that doesn't mean it's not effective. And I think a lot of it was effective in just calming people who are unsure about her. I think people who are a little bit more politically engaged would have seen through a lot of that BS.
So much.
But if you're a low information voter, and I think her sweet spot is the low information voter, they may have looked at that and gone, well, she's a lot more coherent than I've seen all those clips that are, circulated. She could actually complete a sentence without sounding like she's deranged. That's an improvement. So if your expectations in this were low coming into it, then they were probably met and maybe even exceeded.
See, this is how much we love you. We watch this so you don't have to.
It was painful because it was 3 against 1, but not in a artful, subtle way. It was blatant. It was ugly and blatant. So you had these moderators, not only is every question from a Democrat perspective, and every question is essentially, you're terrible, Donald Trump. Tell us why you're not. And then he says something, Kamala, do you want to respond to what he's just said?
Your defence is not true, Mr. President.
And then,
Vice
these
President.
fact checks, no fact checks of Kamala when she said things that they knew were lies, like the bloodbath lie. They knew that comment wasn't was very specific about the
Charlottesville, all of this.
Charlottesville lie, the most repeated lie we have heard in the last 4 years, particularly because Biden never fails mentioning it. They know it's a lie. No correction there. And their participation, they went from moderators to fellow debaters. They should have just got up there and stood next to Kamala.
I have one question for you before we go, all right? I want Trump to win. You want Trump to win. Probably most people watching this video want to win.
I want America to be better.
Well, correct. The media is going to say that he had a very bad night, right? Even some allegedly right-wing people are going to say it. Reassure me and everyone watching about why Donald actually had a better night than the media is going to say that he had.
he could have had the most perfect performance and the media would say he had a bad night. I mean, you have to remember, even with that debacle with Biden, there were people in the New York Times saying that was a draw.
Yeah.
When Biden could literally not complete sentences and had to drop out after that, they were saying. So forget about the media. Trust in the media is at record lows for good reason. I don't think there's going to be too many people who are voting for Trump who are going to change their vote because of that. Now, the people who are on the fence, is that enough to get them over the line? I'm not sure, but I don't think people are going to be determining their vote based on one debate. So I'm not too worried about that. There were a few moments that stood out. And you've got to also remember, most people aren't going to watch the whole thing like we did. We were forced to, taking one for the team. They're going to see little sound bites that are going to be selected by the media. And again, as I said, trust in the media, record lows. So the impact of that is going to be somewhat muted. I think anything he does, he's going to be cast as a villain. Was that his best performance? No. Was it a terrible performance?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
It was.
Also, never forget, of the 6 debates, that's his 7th. He's lost the polls all bar one, the snap poll, so ignore all of that. And if we spend the next week talking about cats, guess what? That's actually meaning we're talking about illegal immigration.
Exactly. I think that's why he mentioned the cats.
Correct.
Because as long as we're talking about the topic.
Love you, Rita. We'll see you soon.